What's up, guys? My name's Noah. I make music as Haterade here for Sonic Academy. Today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to add a little bit of depth to your mixes. So if you're writing something and it just feels sort of flat, we're going to talk about why that is and some of the things that we can do to address that stuff. So let's get the headphones on. So I've got a very boring track right here, made boring on purpose so we can add things to it, mix it a little bit better, and give it some depth. So here's what it sounds like by itself. Okay, super boring. We've got the chords, we've got basic drums. There's not a whole lot going on right now. So before we get into actually doing some stuff with this, let's talk about why we feel that this track lacks depth. It's because everything's really in the center. There's not any space. There's not a bunch of difference between the left and the right. There's no contrast there. So we need to create contrast. We need to fill the frequency spectrum, and we need to start to pan things to the left, to the right, EQ certain frequencies out to get things to mesh with each other, and that's what we're going to do right now. So the first thing that's an easy one for me to do is to roll off some of these highs on the kick to soften it a little bit, because it doesn't need to be so aggressive. Because we don't need this really aggressive, hard hitting kick right now. We just need something a little bit softer and more of a low frequency punch. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some reverb onto this snare. Why don't we just we'll add one from the hybrid reverb here. Bring that dry wet down. We don't need it to be too crazy. And then let's maybe even try a delay here too. Grab a delay. I'm going to put this before the hybrid reverb. Bring that dry wet down, feedback down. And what I did in this hi-hat loop here is I took, instead of just having that straight, I added some extra pizzazz with these extra notes down here. Now it sounds like this. Well, we could also add some reverb to these as well. Probably just a little bit though, and pull them back in the mix some. And we got these guys. These are just simple little, just as a counter rhythm, and pushing those way back. Okay, now let's work on the piano. Remember, what we want to do is we want to preserve the sound and the clarity of this piano, but we also want to make it interesting. So let's add some chorus, maybe a little bit of chorus here. Bring the warmth up. What we could do here too is I grabbed a supporting instrument. This is great too if you want to pick a sound that isn't necessarily exactly like your main sound, which in our case is this piano. So I chose this sound here. It's like a bell sound. I felt it really went well with this piano here. So that's what that sounds like all together. Then what we could do here is go and grab a bass, a Reese bass. I grabbed a Reese bass from Anna 2 down here. And this is going to help sort of set the foundation for everything. Probably pull that back down a little bit too. But you can hear without that bass, this really adds some depth in there. Then we have a melody here. This will also add a little bit of depth in your mix because it's adding a new element. And we want to pull this back. We don't want this to be a prominent thing. Cool. And then what we could do is use a vocal chop here. Well, I've got these vocal ad-libs. And I've just got them distorted and format shifted down with Little Ultra Boy here. And having this as sort of an additional counter melody. And then Something I love doing, especially in intros of songs, is using natural ambiance. So this is just a recording of outside. Adding this in the beginning, especially when everything's really just starting out in the song, it kind of sets this foundation and puts, you got to turn it way down too, push it way in the back, but doing that by turning it down and pushing it into the back, it creates that contrast, which we were talking about earlier, that depth. Let's actually turn these guys down here. And additionally, we were talking about panning earlier. Let's do that. We're going to pan these left and right. Turn them down a little bit more and just pan both of those clips left and right. And there's a cool effect we could use here on these hi-hats, auto pan. You don't want to go crazy with the amount. So let's contrast that with I have our original loop down here. I'm just going to play this on loop so you can hear the difference in all of those things that we added to this thing versus how it sounded before. Listen. That's how it sounds now. Drums didn't lose any of their power. It feels a lot fuller. We didn't have to do anything crazy either. Just some variation on our sound selection, sound placement, a little bit of EQ, and we really brought some life to this mix. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, consider clicking like on the video and go check out sonicacademy.com. We have a bunch of content on the site, over 1,300 hours of material from really fantastic instructors. So go check it out.
Thanks everyone for watching. We really appreciate the support from you guys. If you liked this video, then smash that like button. And if you want to be notified about new content, hit the subscribe and the bell notifications. Peace!